Okay, so sorry about that. You know that I'm still getting used to this new interface that we are using for our programs, but we are very, very, very happy that we are here today again with you this May 2025, continuing with our series of spectacular singing, where we have Katia joining, and we have the pleasure of talking about these very, very lovely melodies. And we have one of there are several melodies. Let me see if I can explain. One listens to music and somehow you have, let's say, certain categories. So there is music for drama. There is music that I really love for drama, such as When Mimi Dies. That I love that one. Or when she gets apart from Rodolfo, the duet. Also from the third act of La Boheme. That one I like for drama. Sola Perduta Abbandonata for drama. The Death of Liu in Turandot, of course, for drama. But there are, and I have Il Barbiere and La Cenerentola for having fun. Or L'Elisir d'Amore. Not the tenor's arias, of course, but L'Elisir d'Amore, everything but the tenor's arias. And I have my category of music that I just enjoy listening to because it puts me in a great mood. One of them is the Voi que sapete that we have had here. Voi que sapete. No exaggerations, no drama. Just have fun saying Voi que sapete. Tornami a vaguejar. That keeps going and going. That Katia has also sung for us in the past as well. And we have today's that is Low Here the Gentle Lark, which is another melody that I just love listening, even if my voice is not adequate for the role, unfortunately. But you see, it is a melody that one enjoys even humming. Not even singing, because not all voices can, but at least humming and playing with the ornaments and all of that. And before we continue with that, I wanted to share with you that you know that we are all humans, and we all humans are subject to nature and getting sick sometimes. So unfortunately, Katia is having some troubles with a respiratory allergy, so she won't be able to sing as much as we all wish she could do. But she's still with us, and she will still be sharing her expertise in these pieces, in particular today's piece of music that is absolutely lovely. Having said that, and because I have been speaking for over 3 minutes, let's pass it to Katya. And why don't you start telling us about this beautiful song? When did you find it? It found you. How do you feel about this music written by Sir Henry Bishop?
This beautiful, magnificent song found me because once upon a time I found uh, a CD album, and it contained Lily Pond's songs and arias.
Oh,
And there's where when I met this song and when I heard it in Lily's voice, I said, "Oh my God, I have to sing it." Well, obviously, he doesn't want to sing this song, so I started to hear it once and again, and I finally learned it. But I was in my first singer's years, so my voice was not ready. My voice has always been pretty light and crystal and clear, so I didn't have like several problems approaching to the pitch and to the agilities. But now I can say that my instrument it's pretty much mature. Well, it's completely more
developed
simple and easier to enjoy at the moment of singing it.
because it opens again quite low, at least for the score that I have. It is too low to be comfortable. And I remember that I was joking with you that I was telling you these light voices again. fall in trouble in opening in a quite low range and still be audible that somebody actually listens that she's saying what? Ah, she's saying, "Lo, hear the gentle lark," because that sound is not going to be powerful enough in a light voice. So, for some reason, Mr. Bishop decided to make it difficult for you from the beginning. Because he could have, we all know that musically speaking, he could have done something a little higher. But well, these are the composer's choices, and that's how he started to do it. And it is very interesting because um, Sir Bishop chose to open. I haven't mentioned it. A lark talking about a bird. We are going back to the birds, and chose a way of developing the melody that opens that. Lo, hear the gentle lark, and then there are these. mm, I would say this, if not discreet, very of controlled. They are very like going like very cautious in the first worry of rest because he's not going stratospherically high, not super fast, not doing anything, but it's like you're going to open in a very elegant, quiet, beautiful way. It's not going to be Olympia going immediately for the super high notes and a thousand ornaments. You're going to have very few in your third bar after you open, but you're going to do it elegantly, beautiful, and that's how he decides to catch the attention of people.
Yes, I would like to share that. Well, this is William Shakespeare's poem. So I think that Sir Bishop's works take us to this idea of developing an argument. I mean, it's not a drama as Romeo and Juliet or kinda, but it's the way it moves from the little to the biggest. So I think it is a great understanding of the text in that sense.
Yeah, if I remember well, it comes from the Comedy of Errors by Shakespeare, and so that's an interesting choice that he decided to take the words, or that could be the reason for writing this song, and also the kind of ornaments because it was composed, if I remember well, 18, what is the exact year? Do you remember? 1836, 1816.
No, no, I really don't
I'm going
remember.
to look for that in a second to share it with you the exact date, but it is still in the early ages, in the early years of opera. We don't have Verdi, we don't have Puccini, Wagner is not there, Bizet is not there composing, so we are still in the early days closer to the Baroque still style of composing that the more romantic or verismo styles, and you perceive it when you look at when you have the opportunity of listening to it, because also the orchestration is very modest, is very light. In fact, many times the accompaniment is only a piano or mostly with only a flute,
Mm-hmm.
which also gives all the importance, and that's where it becomes dangerous, because if it is only you, the soprano, and the flute, you cannot hide anywhere. Mistake that you commit, mistake that everybody will realize. So if you fall short of breath, if there is a problem in the pitch of one note, people will know, even not only for the soprano, for the flute as well, because I also sent you a recording where I said there is something wrong with this flute. It's clear that he never studied the score before, because we're falling in the same case again. Once we pass the first, the initial part, "Lo, hear the gentle lark, airy rest." After this, as I was saying, somehow controlled, elegant, beautiful way of opening, it is going to go for the ornaments, but it has to flow. If at some point you sort of stop you sort of fall in problem somewhere, the melody is going to lose the dynamism that you are trying to build. So, as we have explained in the past, and maybe it would be important or interesting that Katia explains it to everybody that is watching it. Um, you have to think not only on notes, not only of bars, but on the complete song. How am I going to construct it? Because it's not notes after notes, it's not chop 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 chop. It's a complete idea that develops throughout and that captures the attention. And once you reach the ornaments, the people is already inside of what you're singing. What else could you share in these regards, Katia?
Oh my god, it's like building a 3,000 pieces puzzle.
In 15
You
minutes.
know, yes, it's like opening the box and you have no idea of where the pieces belong to. But you, well, in my case, when I approach to a song like this, I try to study note by note because the pitch is one of the most as singer. If you're not pitching, you don't sing. That's the basic. So I study note by note, and then I start to zoom out and link all my phrases to to make exactly what you just mentioned. To make it doesn't sound like note by note, but as phrase by phrase, and finally to get a very linked song.
Because, and I recall that we explained it when we talked about Voy que Zapete. It's like when once you have the kind of sound, the way you want to sound in the melody, you have to keep it throughout the whole melody. Because we were saying, if you exaggerate, put more volume or less volume than required, immediately you see that something is not working. People say, "What's wrong with this melody? This sounds too harsh." The people gets that you didn't get it. It's like I recall that I was also telling you with another recording. It's like listening to a student of singing in her first or to second year, when they are basically. It looks more like a solfege exercise rather than
Yeah,
actual singing, because you know that when you are at the solfeggio classes, you are given this series of notes and you are trying to reach the pitch and do all that, but there is not a heart, there is not a message, there is not a
it's
melody.
it's like trying to make a school work working in team and everybody makes its part and then you
Exactly.
try to put it together but it doesn't match. And it sounds like this sometimes. Yes, you have to be very intelligent to study piece by piece, but also to zoom out to see the entire song and balance your beginning with your last.
And also, in that regards, because it's very easy and it happens to many sopranos that do a lousy job in most of the area and then explode in the ornaments. Because they know they have done a very poor job before, so they say, but here I am going to add, I am going to work a third above, because that is easy to me. So if it was a C, I'm going to do an E, and if it was a D, I'm going to. And you see, they start climbing up high, up to the stars. Oh, there were 12 notes here. I can add something here so that I can add a rupetti, and then I will do this and do that. But that's trying to cover what you really didn't do well. And I wanted to say that Beverly Seals was an expert of that, but I'm not going to say it. Beverly Seals was not an expert doing that. But I would have really loved more that Beverly could be able to sing and do more, mm, more of an artistic work. There was enough of pyrotechnics in her voice, but I would have loved more to see the artist. And this is one of the songs when you can actually see the artist. Because the spirit in which the soprano opens is very lovely and evolves along with the ornaments. I'm not sure if you feel like explaining or showing a little of any of the ornaments here because
Thousands.
there are several that we could choose from. Not sure if any particular that you think deserves to be explained. There is a very interesting thing, and that there are several ligaturas in the ornaments, which is not very common to see, but that it is very important. Let me put it on the screen for a second.
Yes, please.
Share screen, and I am going to share the second screen. And there, you must be watching it. Second.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So, uh, for people who have not watched my introductory videos that are essentials for non-musicians, I have explained what a ligatura is. But if you haven't read it, these curved lines that seem to I don't want to say jump, but sort of join the heads of the notes are called the ligaturas. And these ligaturas always mean something. They always mean trouble.
It means danger.
It means that you have to do something different to what you were doing later. For instance, when you read Verismo, you hardly ever, unless it is Puccini, but if you read Leoncavallo or any other, Carmen, for instance, you hardly ever have ligaturas because ligaturas are more for bel canto, as they explain. You have to keep the same quality of sound for the number of notes that are under that ligatura. Same color, same tone, same quality of sound. That's why it means danger. And that's why you don't have it in the verismo, because verismo is mostly yelling and harsh phrases, mori danato, mori, and all those things, even though uh,
If you don't get the perfect pitch, nobody cares and it doesn't matter because you're yelling.
yeah, exactly. But when you have this number of ligaturas, when you are singing, that's when you say, "Oh, that really means trouble."
Oh my god, so I do have to sing.
I do. I now I do have to sing. Yeah, but I don't know if there is a particular passage or something that you would like to explain or to share,
um,
exemplify.
sure. Well, I'm seeing here bar number. Well, no, it's because it's plenty of ornaments. Um, but for example, I don't know if we have the same score, but it's a bar 26 to 27. The sun arises in true majesty.
Here it is. Yeah, found it. The
Okay.
Sahara.
The sun arises in true majesty. Well, thanks God, I still can sing.
But I wanted to mention because you just did. If you're going to see the video, the recording of this, you're going to be able to stop it and bring it back because I would like you to pay attention to the fact of Katia did what we have explained several times. She takes her column of breath, the note, and it is like mounted on the column of breath. I like to call it like a wave because once you're mounted, you are there emitting the sounds. We have mentioned a number of times. It is not like stopping the car and starting the car. No. Once you have the sound, you start emitting on that series of sounds because that will ensure you that you are able to work on the ligaturas as written. That the quality of the sounds, even if you are sick, that the quality of the sound is correct.
Yes, if you have a good technique, it's easy, even if you're sick.
If you have a good technique, things are usually easier. If you have a bad technique, things are usually harder. In fact, I would like to invite you, if you like to experiment that yourself, choose two or three sopranos random from the YouTube. Spotify no, because Spotify has a very poor selection of music. For opera, ugh, it's really bad. But go to YouTube or Vimeo or any other, choose three sopranos singing this, and look at how they are working on these parts. If something falls out of control in terms of volume or breath, then you got it. She wasn't able to manage the ligaturas here with the ornaments, because that's the added complexity here. If there was not ligatura here, then the soprano would be more open to do
Yeah,
more of what she wants. But no, Sir Bishop said, "No, lady, this
lick
one,
it.
you have to, in the ligaturas, you have to work your color correctly because I want to sound it steady and continuous."
Yeah, we could check page number 6. It's bar 49 and 50.
This is page 6. Are we on the same page 6? In fact, that would be the
Oh,
question.
yes, uh-huh. Where we have the re-exposition of Lord, hear the gentle Lord, Lord, hear the gentle Lord.
There, I wanted to mention also, and we haven't mentioned it now, that this song, as a couple of other two ones that we have mentioned in the same series, is not so high. The original key, as written here, is not so high.
No, no, actually.
And I am also sure that almost nobody sings it in the original key. Exactly for
Now
that
we
reason.
can transpose it and sing it higher.
Transpose, because you say, man, I'm not going to sing around the middle C. Or say, "Oh, what are you expecting?" C, E, and going back to, nah, 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 nah. Can do much higher. But still, the same rule applies. Even if you can sing it higher, you still have to be able to control. Because if you cut something that has a ligatura in there, that is wrong. You have to be able to manage the resources so that everything that is in, except for Puccini, because if you read Puccini, he has phrases in Tosca that are like 5 bars, and he continues adding and adding ligaturas, which is going to the extreme. So for Puccini, nobody breathed anywhere, but that was Puccini, because of course you have to make a pause. But usually in these cases where you have for only a bar or a bar and a half added in a ligatura, you should be able to do it.
Yeah. This part I found it tricky because a phrase could be placed in two bars. Lo, hear the gentle Lord, and then you can take a breath. Lo, hear the gentle Lord, weary. And I say it's tricky because it's only two bars, and then we have three bars, but you are using such amount of air that it rushes up as fast as hell.
Yeah, and also you have to, now that you talk about the intelligence on how to put or to add the pauses for reading, you also have to do something to make people realize, how can I say, Lord, hear the gentle Lord, Lord, hear. Because if you continue immediately, Lord, there is, you feel like something is missing. That small pause for reading, and if you know what to do with the sound, Lord, if you go for the L and the E in a nice sound, you immediately catch the attention back of people and know that there is a new phrase coming. That's why I was saying that I don't like these recordings of professional singers exposing themselves to the world, saying, "Hey, this is my recording of Hear the Gentle Lark," and it is just a vocalization exercise. Lord, hear the gentle Lord, Lord, hear the gentle Lord, which you could hear in any singing lesson.
Yeah.
A series of notes with no personality, with no personal touch. And what the artist should be doing here is understand, say, hey, if I have to read here, how can I add here, let hear the gentle Lord? And do I make a pause? Do I emphasize the L? How do I play with this sound so that I keep the melody going and catch the attention of people? Otherwise, I'm going to be a 2 years student in his singing lesson, which we all don't like. Well, there are certainly people who like to listen to those, but if you're doing
I
it
love to
professionally,
study.
no, but
Well, I think it's clear.
5 more years would be maybe enough. But now that we're on it, there is something else that I wanted to ask you on that. Because I was really disappointed when I was listening to several versions of this beautiful song. I was really disappointed because and you, provided that you are a singing teacher and that you have a number of students, what I was telling myself is, okay, when you study music and truly hundreds of exercises that students go through. Okay, today we're practicing the intervals of a third. Tomorrow, the next week or in 2 months, the intervals of a fifth. And then we're going for a whole octave. All these hundreds of dozens of exercises that because you want to make sure that the voice is going to be malleable enough to
Yeah.
feel comfortable in those ranges, right? One to depending on the kind of school and the teacher that you have, but you always have hundreds of student of exercises on that. Then how after all this time, all these exercises, how is it possible that you reach a song like this and you are unable to work correctly?
Yes. Well, I think I don't have an answer for that because to me, it's not just to work with your voice, but with your with your mind. So, for example, I'm checking here bar 55,
Hmm.
56, and ahead. And I don't imagine myself just making sounds with no spirit, with no life. I mean, if you are not feeling what you're saying and what you're singing, what are you gonna share with those who are listening to you? You are not just a sound machine.
But what could be happening? Because I really gave a couple of hours on thinking on this. You should by this time you should already be ready to work on this because this is clearly. I believe that it is less than 2 octaves the whole song if I remember well. You don't go as low as a C4, and I think you don't reach the C6. But if you reach the C6, you really don't reach the C4, if I remember well on the score. We could check it. But either way, it's not a two octaves extension, so that means that this should be comfortable for almost any voice. So after these thousands of hours exercising, how come that when you have to work on your ornaments, you fail?
I don't know. Well, it's because probably it's the spirit that you have when you uh, take a piece like this. If you are just thinking in notes and pyrotechnics, but not an intention, not a story, I think that then you face the lack of everything, but just the pitches.
And even the pitch fails. That's what worries me the most because you could say, okay, it was empty-hearted. There was no heart in her song, but the notes were good. But to listen, there is no heart. and the notes are clearly failing. You say this was an E sharp, sorry, an F sharp, and the F sharp is nowhere because it was more flat. Or the example that you just provided, because this is in fact the small passage in the song that many people love because of the pristine quality of the sound and how you go up down up down up down, and the immediate effect that it has. So if you fail in the pitching one of those, people says, Oscar, it sounds fine, but it
But
sounds weird.
and it is.
And there are not too many notes involved. You see, you are basically repeating,
Yeah, you're moving in a sound. You don't have why to get lost. There's
but
no reason.
there should be no reason, but it's happening. And I also think that is part of the reason why many people don't like opera. Because if they just listen to a voice emitting sounds and they are unable to give it or to feel the heart that the singer should be giving to the song, of course they get away. They'll say,
I would.
uh, there is something else as we are. Well, I'm not sure if you would like to talk about any other passage here.
Well, there are lots of beautiful passages because I think that that's the point of this song, particularly because the text is telling the same once and again. So the key of the song it's exactly to present the same text in very different ways. Uh, my only advantage would be to sing this on the clouds. Feel you're dancing on clouds because on the contrary, there's no way to make a good phrase. I'm checking here bar 66, 67, and there are ligaduras but accents but staccati. So if you are not having, yeah, Mr. Bishop, what's wrong with you? Did you ever try to sing it, or you just thought that it would sound nice? There are trills and accents ahead, and if you are not floating, if you are not dancing, and you remain in each one of the sounds, it's not gonna work. You are gonna die at the middle of the song.
Yeah, because once you've discovered that you have to do all of this in a very short amount of time, and the voice is randomly working in the incorrect position, there is no way you're going to get away with this. No way you're going to get away with this. But also, as we're approaching to the end of this score, I wanted to go back to a comment. Here it is. Um, because look at how you are going to reach your high note.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was mentioning with you on messages previous to this program, I wanted to mention we talked in the past about the squirrel note, which is this
Yeah.
very weird sound that many sopranos do instead of a note, like.
At least try to be a fat squirrel.
But the other defect that happens very often and that I didn't like and that we have started calling it the trampoline note, because if you're written, for instance, a high C, you're expected, of course, you have a previous notes, but in this maybe if you look at this, you're continuously climbing up to the high C. But if you add a note not written before the C, and that's
Mm-mm.
what many sopranos do. That happens especially with the sopranos. A tenor hardly ever uses this trampoline note. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but it happens more with the sopranos. they add always a note that is not only an unwritten note, but it is usually a false note that is not well positioned. So usually they say no, like opening a lot the pharyngeal before going for the high note. Why are they even doing that? Is not written. That is not necessary, but I'm not sure. It's like, man, you were working in your vocalization exercises to reach the notes. I am sure that your teacher
That's
would
the
have
idea. That's the idea.
never allowed you to say, okay, you're going to sing a D, then you're allowed to add a note before you reach the D. No,
No,
man.
no, no. There's no teacher. I hope that says something like this.
Then why now that you're recording, that you're in a theater or in a concert or recital, whatever, why are you adding that note?
I think that it probably gives the sensation of confidence uh, and security. It's like probably trying to walk a step back to take impulse and run, but it just works when you're running. It doesn't work when you sing because you have this. You have to sing this jump, and you do like so you are making indeed your distance becomes larger. So it's not gonna help at all because it's a short time. You are making the distance larger, so you have less time to reach the highest pitch, and probably you won't get there. And you're wasting air and you're wasting resources, so it's not the best idea.
It's never the best idea, and it's so common, so hard. I know that I am going to make a comment that is going to make many people be very upset with me again, because Maria Callas used to do that too often. If you listen, for instance, to her Spargere Pianto from Lucia di Lammermoor, just before, what is that? An E flat, I think. It's what the sopranos usually do, right? An E flat. Uh, oh, oh, before she goes to her, and you see, what for?
Why? Why? No. No need. Really, no need.
But people think or like to listen to that trampoline note like a show of something big is coming. No, something big is going to come because it's going to come. It's written. So the trampoline note, from my perspective, it even hurts when you try to read because you're coming with a uh, oh, you're
It's not natural. It's not natural. You are ascending. Why you should cut down and then the jump? It doesn't make sense. Not to me.
so
And I have heard some worst cases where there's the traveling note, they cut, they breathe, and then the highest note. So what's going on here? Oh.
there are so many things happening around in the world of music that I really hope that these programs that we have put together, we are over 140 programs already, so I hope that this number of programs that we have put together in a way have helped people to be more critical in the positive sense of the word, because in the social media there's people who is hypercritical and also very ignorant, so they say, oh, it is very beautiful, the final note, and you listen to it and you say it's off pitch. To start with, it's off pitch.
It's a squirrel.
It's not clear. It looks like she's about to throw her amygdalas away because of the effort she's doing. When I can give you a hint. If you have a singer, if you look at the singer who is getting ready for his high note and the neck looks tense and all the facial expression is tense, he's doing things wrong. Yeah. We saw also an example of Mr. Kaufman singing Ridi
Okay.
Pagliaccio. When you look at him and how tense he is, you say, my God, if he was of crystal, you would break him into pieces because you can see how tense he is. It's that passage in particular, it's not easy. We have explained in the past, Ridi Pagliaccio, but it has to flow naturally.
I mean, you should have a large voice to sing something like this, so you are not in the need to yell. You shouldn't be facing an extra effort to sing something like this.
And if there is tension, it's because maybe there is drama and you want to convey tension because of the moment the character is going through. But not tension because your
Not vocal
instrument
tension.
it's about
No.
to break. You have it at the limit. It is horrible to see. Believe me, it's horrible to see. You suffer along with the singer.
It hurts.
So that and all these final words are just to in the hope that we have really given more information to people who love the art of singing so that you can tell what is a good recording, what is a good interpretation, and that you have some basis for it. We all have our personal preferences. We will always have our personal preference that we need to respect, but we also need to say, okay, I love Maria Callas, but she had way too many trampoline notes, and her voice was not homogeneous, and I still like her.
But let's be clear.
But let's be clear. Same way, I don't like John Sutherland, but I have to admit she's close to perfect.
Yeah.
The quality of her emission, whether or not you like the sound of her voice, but you say she's going to sing in pitch. You know that 99% of the time she's going to sing in
It
pitch.
sounds easy, it sounds simple, it sounds clear, so it's well done.
And you look at her face, and that's because she wasn't a good actress.
No,
So
that's right.
you see her Lucia, her Ana Bolena, or whatever she's singing, she always has the same face. So,
Same thing, yeah.
so you only know that it is a drama only because maybe she moved the eyes faster. But at the end, the quality of the sound tells you what she's doing.
Yeah.
So now the discussion is I don't like the sound of her voice because of my reasons, but I have to admit she's singing it correctly.
Or he's not doing this right, but I like the way it sounds. Okay.
And that's what we are trying to do with all these programs. Any final words that you would like to share for today's, Katia?
Yes, when I start to work with this kind of songs, with this kind of pieces, I try to work with a feather, and I sing with the feather here, or you can use your hand and try to feel your breath in the entire song. I think that's a good source to check you are using the right amount of air, and that will make your sound really project easily.
Which, in cases like this, it's good. It's good advice that you manage your resources correctly. Okay, so with that being said, thank you very much, everybody, for having joined us. We hope Katia recovers soon. It takes time more for singers. It's necessary for all singers to recover from any respiratory disease correctly. So hopefully you will be okay within a few
Thank you.
days. Thanks everybody for having joined us. Thank you very much and see you in a